What's up, guys? Welcome to Gwhisky. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. With that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Ardnamurchan Cask Strength 0222. Stick around. So we're jumping on the hype train today. I've got the Ardnamurchan Cask Strength 0222. I might be a little bit late to the party for this one. This one was doing the rounds a while back, and a lot of bloggers, vloggers, whiskey reviewers came to the general consensus that it's really good. Now, Ardnamurchan is one of the most celebrated new distilleries. They only started distilling in 2014, and over the last couple years, I'd say their products have become really popular, and the one that everyone's been talking about lately is this one. They also have AD releases, which are quite popular. I have looked at a couple of those before on the channel, back when they had AD/The Date as the whiskey title. Nowadays, they've standarded it. It's just called AD, and yeah, also really good stuff. Now, I believe this one is their first high-volume cask strength release. I could be wrong there. This one is one of 12,886 bottles. Mine's bottled 15th of February 2022. Peated and unpeated casks in here, mostly peated though, 45 ex-bourbon barrels, and 5 sherried hogsheads. And these guys are great for transparency as well. There's a QR code on the back of the bottle. If you scan it, it'll take you to the website, and on the website, you'll get the entire production breakdown. You'll also get a spreadsheet with a cask breakdown, the specific cask they used. So awesome transparency. And I've been one of the most vocal advocates for this brand ever since I first tried their stuff. They don't make bad whiskey. I've never had a bad bottle of whiskey from them. I've never even had an average bottle of whiskey from them. I've had a bunch of their AD releases. I've had single cask stuff. They've all been excellent. So honestly, this bottle is about as low risk as they get. So there's really not much chance of this being a bad whiskey, but let's find out where I land on it. Let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. We got a nice ABV of 58.7%. It's of course non-chill filtered and natural color. Every Ardnamurchan you buy will be craft presented, so huzzah. So I really like the look of Ardnamurchan bottles. I think they have their own style. I like that they've got these small labels. It means you can make out the color of the liquid, you can make out the fill level. The labels themselves, they have some like vertical text on it. I like the font. This one is black, whereas their AD releases are white. It's a great look. 4 out of 5 for presentation. The bottle does say non-chill filtered and natural color. I mentioned earlier we've got the QR code with all the production process, the cask breakdown. So again, great transparency, and we've got a great look. Cool bottle. Our nose is beautiful. It's a very bright, clean nose. We get tropical notes like tropical fruits, stuff like star fruit, cantaloupe, melon, papaya, banana, lemons. It's also a bit savory. There's some saltiness that's almost meaty here. There's some vanilla. There's some mineral notes. We get some gentle peat that dances beautifully around those tropical notes. It's a really nice nose. For the palate and the finish, our texture is very oily. It's almost silky. The arrival gives us a big dose of vanilla. We get some earthiness in here, some minerality, and some gentle peat. Then towards the finish, more fruitiness comes through. I get stuff like banana, I get some stone fruit, and some jammy berry notes. It's a long finish. On an unrelated note, I just realized how apparent this wet spot on my shirt is. I might have spilled a little bit of whiskey. I'm very drunk. Okay, so right away, this is really good whiskey. It's not like I've done a great job keeping you guys in suspense. From the flavor to the texture to the balance, I think this stuff is a home run. This is exactly the kind of whiskey that I like drinking these days. It's my jam, it's my vibe. I'm vibing with it heavily. Vibing with it heavily, why does that sound so weird? This stuff brings a lot of the characteristics that I enjoy in whiskey into one bottle. I love stuff like Oban for its gentle coastal notes. I love stuff like Talisker for also being coastal, but we also have gentle peat and some minerality in there. I love a restrained sherried influence. I love bright tropical fruits. That's all in here. We've also got that beautiful texture in here. I mentioned it's very oily, it's very silky. I absolutely love that. There's no burn on this whiskey. I didn't add water to this dram. I often do, and it does help, but I didn't need it here. From nose to palate to finish, this stuff is a smooth ride. If you're waiting for me to make a joke about smooth ride, it's not going to happen. It's not that kind of channel. Grow up. So yeah, this is just a really smooth ride. That's what she said. And the thing about Ardnamurchan is this whiskey is what? I don't know, like 6, 7 years old. It's really young stuff, and it's just absurd what they can do at Ardnamurchan with such young whiskey. They always knock it out of the park. I think it was Roy over at the Aquavitae channel who mentioned on a VPub at one point that this is not good whiskey for such a young whiskey. It's just good whiskey. By any measure, by any standard, I don't care how young this stuff is, Ardnamurchan is making some of the best whiskey in Scotland. I said it. Hot take, Jeff. These guys are like the child prodigy of whiskey. It's like, you know when you see those clips and there's like a 7-year-old who finishes a Rubik's Cube in like half a second? That's these guys. These guys are the child Rubik's Cube whiskey makers of Scotland. What? They just don't put out bad whiskey, and this one's a belter. It is quite different from their standard AD releases, the ones with the white label. I would say that the profile is a little bit heavier and more peat forward in this one, and obviously with the cask strength we have more intensity. Honestly, I couldn't tell you which profile I prefer. Maybe in terms of profile, I might slightly prefer the standard white label releases. They're just a little bit brighter and cleaner, at least in my head they are. I don't have one to do a side-by-side comparison here, but then again, this one compensates for that by having such a high ABV, so yeah, they're all good. So really, I have nothing to complain about here. This one is a stunner. You might pick up a little bit of youth in here. You can certainly tell it's not like an old, well-aged whiskey, but we have the flavor, we have the texture, and I always say this in my videos, youth isn't inherently bad. It's all about execution. A young whiskey, if done right, maybe it's 5 years, 8 years, whatever, it can be a killer. We're seeing it more and more with, of course, newer brands who don't have the older stocks, but there's even well-established brands that are putting out stuff like 8-year-olds. Ardbeg has a 5-year-old, and they're often well-received because they're well-made. And obviously most no age stated releases are going to be relatively young. No age stated, of course, it's a very mixed bag, but some of them are excellent, and they're no age stated because the brand is worried that putting a number that's under 10, for example, might hurt their sales. They shouldn't. If you make good whiskey, we're going to buy it. Anyway, that was a tangent. My score for this is going to be 90. We have the texture, the flavors, the intensity from the cask strength. It's coastal, it's balanced. I mean, I've got a lot of adjectives that I could throw at you, but let's keep it simple. Whiskey, very good. So this is not a cheap whiskey, but it's not too expensive either. If you look at it only through the lens of age, you might say, oh, even at cask strength for a whiskey of this age, it is a bit pricey. That's the wrong way to look at it. For the quality, this is very fairly priced, and I think it's worth every penny. Alright, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, I do have the Patreon. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That is always appreciated. I do want to hear from you. Have you tried this one? They have a newer cask strength release out. Have you tried that one? How would they compare? What's your favorite Ardnamurchan? You can let me know down below in the comments. Also, you can let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.